Welcome back to the Company Show. We tell like it is. We don't care how you feel. And we got another great one this weekend, ladies and gentlemen. The Georgia Bulldogs taking on the Alabama Crimson Tide. That is a 7:30 kickoff primetime game in Athens. This is the first time since 2015 that Alabama has gone on the road to Athens to take on Georgia. I think that's absolutely ridiculous. I don't know how you go 10 years without traveling to a conference opponent to play them at their own stadium. But we're finally doing away with that. The SEC is moving to a 9-conference game schedule, so we're no longer going to have these situations where teams in the same conference are going forever and a day before they actually play one another. But like I said, that is a primetime game. That is going to be an electric, hostile atmosphere. The crowd is going to be pumped up, ready to go. They're going to be rocking and rolling. A lot of drunk, obnoxious Georgia fans. I'm excited to actually for this game to happen. A little bit nervous, but very excited. Let's jump right into it. Obviously, the elephant in the room for this, pun intended, is can Georgia finally get the monkey off their back? Can they get over the hump of beating Alabama consistently? Georgia is 1-9 in their last 10 matchups against Alabama. Obviously, going back to the 2021 season, Georgia was able to beat Alabama. Not only did they beat Alabama, they're able to beat Alabama for the national championship. So they conquered the mountaintop, slaying the dragon, won it all. You fast forward to the 2024 season, Alabama's got a new head coach in Kalen DeBoer, basically an entirely new coaching staff. You're thinking that Georgia was able to get over the hump, beat Alabama consistently, and we know how that game went. They lost. Georgia lost the game in last season in 2024, and it was a very ugly game for Georgia, especially in the first half. I think that was, as a Georgia fan, that was the most embarrassing first half of football I've ever seen from Georgia. I think it was the worst football they've ever played, at least since I've been alive. Obviously, they stayed in it. They fought their way back. They actually took the lead in that game. It was the biggest comeback in school history. They took the lead in that game late in the second half, and we know how it went. Jalen Milroe to Ryan Williams, highlight reel catch. He rips it off for, I don't know, was it 40, 50, 60-yard touchdown pass. Alabama takes the lead. Georgia gets the ball back. They're driving down the field looking like they actually might score to take the lead again. And Carson Beck throws an interception. Alabama gets the ball, and they nail the ball. Game's over. Alabama wins. Heartbreaking game, gut-wrenching game, especially to have such an embarrassing first half. I was completely checked out, and then we battled back, and I got back into it, my hopes up, just to come crashing down. So can Georgia finally do it this season? Can they beat Alabama? They get them at home, which is a big plus. We'll start with the Georgia side of the thing. Obviously, Georgia is 3-0. Their first three opponents were Marshall, Austin Peay, and Tennessee. Through the first two games of the season, specifically with the Austin Peay game, my biggest concern for this Georgia team was on the offensive side of the ball in the explosive play department, the big play department, passes downfield. There was zero. Through the first two games of the season, Georgia had 0 plays beyond, I think, 25 yards or something like that. No deep shots, not even any attempted by Gunnar Stockton. I felt like Gunnar Stockton was relying too quick on tucking the ball and running. And I do love what he's able to offer, the threat that he brings with his legs. You definitely want to use that. But I felt like he relied on it too quick. He was not going through his progressions the way he should. At the end of the day, yes, you want to be able to be a dual threat quarterback in today's college football world, but you still got to be able to take passes downfield. And we didn't see any of that. So through the first two games of the season, my biggest concern, my biggest red flag for Georgia was the offensive side of the ball. And can we actually connect downfield? It was reminding me a lot of the offense from 2024, and I was very concerned. But with the defense played lights out the first two games. They allowed 13 total points for the first two games of the season. They looked phenomenal, looked like your very stereotypical Kirby Smart coach defense. Going into the Tennessee game, my question was, hey, can we put points on the board, man? Can we make deep shots? And coming out of that Tennessee game, my view on this Georgia team essentially did a complete 180. They went in there to Knoxville. They put up 44 points, and they won the game. Wasn't a pretty win. It was an instant classic, a great game to watch, but they put up 44 points. They won the game. They showed that they were able to take deep shots. It was deep shots after deep shots. Not only were they taking these shots, passing the ball downfield, they were connecting on them. Our receivers were finally catching the ball. Shocker, what can happen when your receivers can catch the damn ball. So really love what I saw in the offense. They essentially silenced me. I think that Gunnar Stockton, not only did Gunnar Stockton, I think this offensive group as a whole grew up in that Tennessee game. It showed that they have fight in them. I thought the offensive line played a lot better, especially in the pass protection department. They still need to work on some things, but I think they did a tremendous job. You go on the road and you put up 44 points in an SEC environment, Neyland Stadium, which is considered one of the toughest places to play, one of the loudest places for sure. Put up 44 points, that's great. But on the defensive side, you give up 41 points. And secondary got exposed, embarrassed. There's no sugarcoating it. It was a very humiliating performance by the secondary. Really, as the defense as a whole, the up front was a little bit, was fine, but it was mostly just blown coverages, poor tackling, poor execution in the secondary. You had a couple of plays where deep shots that were, like highlight reel catches where, you probably throw that ball 9 times out of 10 and it either gets deflected or intercepted, and it just happened, happened to go Tennessee's way a couple times in that game. But nonetheless, secondary got absolutely exposed in that game. So kind of did a 180 going into that Tennessee game, coming out of the Tennessee game, heading into the Alabama. Over on the Alabama side of things, obviously we all know how Alabama's season has went so far. Their first 3 opponents were FSU, ULM, and Wisconsin. They got embarrassed first game against FSU. FSU was coming off a 2-10 win season. No one was really counting on them to do anything. Were they going to make a bowl game? Who knows? No one expected FSU to win. Not only did FSU win, not only did they beat Alabama, they dog-walked Alabama. They embarrassed them. They dominated on both sides of the ball. The game was never close. There was a time where you thought Alabama might be able to get back into it, but FSU just shut the door. And I mean, the FSU looked great, and Alabama looked absolutely horrible, horrendous, embarrassing performance. A lot of people were immediately writing Alabama off after that first game. A lot of people are saying they have no shot at making the SEC championship. They have no shot at contending for the playoff. They're going to go 7-5. They'll be lucky if they go 8-4. All kinds of stuff. I wasn't so quick to jump there. I do know that this Alabama team, although they have some major concerns, they're too talented to just write off. They are. I mean, they have one of the best rosters in the country in all of college football. So I wasn't so quick to jump on the bandwagon of, oh, hey, Alabama, you just count them out for the season. After the first game, they're gone. I wasn't there, and I'm still not there yet. There's still a lot of questions, a lot of unknown about this Alabama team. Obviously, they get embarrassed the first game of the season. Then they come back home. They play ULM. They did 77-0 or 70-something to nothing. You can't really overreact. Obviously, the offense looked a lot better. Defense gets a shutout. No matter who you're playing, it's always impressive if you can get a shutout on defense. So they looked really good against ULM. But then again, it is ULM. You can't overreact to that game. Then their third game of the season, still at home, they played Wisconsin, and they won 30-something to 10, I believe, something along those lines. Still look good. Still some questions here and there. But then again, Wisconsin is not a good team. Wisconsin is 2-2. They have wins against UT Martin and Miami of Ohio. So again, take it for what you can against the Wisconsin game. Did Alabama do what they needed to do? Yeah, they won the game. That's exactly what they should have done. So there's still a lot of questions left to answer for Alabama that are going to get answered this weekend against Georgia. I think Georgia answered a lot of questions. Can Alabama answer questions, or what are we going to get from this Alabama team? Obviously, we all know what they're able to do in the receiving department. Bernard and Williams are absolutely phenomenal. Every time they catch the ball, they're threatening to score a touchdown. There's no question there what they bring to the table. And then I think Ty Simpson has looked pretty good. His completion percentage is good. I got his numbers here. I got his numbers right here in the passing department. He's 71.9% completion percentage, 862 passing yards. He's averaging about 9.7 per pass, and he's got 9 touchdowns. And another key factor is he's got 0 interceptions. So you're not turning the ball over. So he's looked really good. Like I said, look at who they played. Look at how they've looked in those games. But Ty Simpson has looked good. And like I said, I don't have to talk about Bernard and Williams. We all know what they can do. My biggest red flag for Alabama is their run game. Through 3 games, I think this is the worst run game I've seen in an Alabama team since I've been alive, since I can remember. Through 3 games, they have a total of 371 rushing yards. That is absolutely abysmal. That's not, with those numbers, you're going to lose a lot more games than you're going to win, especially in the SEC. If you want to win in the SEC, yes, you do need to be balanced, but you got to be able to run the ball. If you cannot run the ball, good luck, is all I can say. And Alabama has not shown that they're able to run the ball, even against ULM and Wisconsin. I mean, 371 rushing yards through 3 games is not going to cut it. And you haven't played any world beater defense. So that is the biggest red flag for Alabama. That's my biggest concern. Obviously, their defense is good. I think, we'll see how they respond on the road against this Georgia offense. We'll see what they're able to do. So defense, is your very typical Alabama defense. But yeah, our run game for Alabama is the biggest concern. My biggest red flag if I'm an Alabama fan going into this game. Getting into the keys to the game, what each team needs to do to be successful in this game. We'll start with Alabama. They got to start hot and silence the crowd early. Like I mentioned in the beginning of this video, this crowd for Georgia is starving for a win against Alabama. They are going to be loud. It's a 7:30 kickoff game. There's going to be some loud, obnoxious Georgia fans. They're going to be pumped. They're going to try and make Alabama's life miserable this game. If Alabama can come out, start hot, and silence the crowd early, is going to greatly benefit Alabama. So I think that's step 1. Step 2 for Alabama is they got to connect on these explosive plays. They got to find ways to get their best players the ball, and that's Williams and Bernard. If they're able to do that and take deep shots, not just take deep shots, but connect on them, that's going to go a long way. We know Georgia struggles with 2 things, a mobile quarterback and putting up a lot of points. That's how Alabama beat Georgia last year. They put up a shit ton of points. That's how Tennessee almost beat Georgia this year. They put up a shit ton of points. You got to be able to connect on those explosive plays. You got to hit your shots downfield, and you got to do it early. And the third and final thing I think for Alabama to be successful, which I think is the most important thing, is they've got to be able to successfully run the ball. If you come into this game against Georgia and you cannot run the ball, you might as well pack it up. I think if Alabama has any shot, wants to win this game, they got to be able to effectively run the ball. It's very difficult to run the ball in this Georgia defense, no matter who you are. But you got to be able to do it. You got to be balanced. And if Georgia can sit back and say, hey, they can't run the ball on us, Alabama's going to be in for a long night. So those are the 3 things I think for Alabama to be successful in this game, to leave Athens with a W, is start fast and silence the crowd as quick as possible. Connect on explosive plays and put up a ton of points, and effectively run the ball. Not through 1 quarter, 2 quarters, first half, throughout the entire game. That's what they got to do. My keys for Georgia to be successful, win this game, is they essentially have to eliminate the explosive plays. They have got to find a way to limit Bernard and Williams. I think that they are too good that you're not going to completely shut them down, but you got to find a way to limit them as much as possible. You cannot get beat in the secondary as bad as you did against Tennessee. You just can't do it. You got embarrassed. Secondary has got to play better. They've got to find a way to make this Alabama team one-dimensional. If they can take away the passing threat, the deep ball of this Alabama team, and force them to run the ball, I think they're sitting pretty. I think Georgia's sitting pretty because we all know, we just went over how bad Alabama has looked in the run department. If they're able to force Alabama to run the ball to beat them, if they just have nothing going in the passing game, I think that's step one for Georgia winning this game. Step two, Georgia's got to win up front. They got to win in the trenches. It all starts up front. I think they've got to win on that offensive line. Like I said earlier, although I love what Gunnar Stockton brings with his legs, I think it's an extreme threat. He's got to be able to take shots downfield. And if he is constantly getting pressured, he's just going to tuck the ball and run. Now, he may hurt this Alabama defense for a 15-yard first down, a 20-yard run here, and then take it to the house eventually for a touchdown. But you got to be able to consistently pass the ball downfield. So you got to win up front. You got to win your matches. You got to pass protect for Gunnar Stockton. I think Georgia's run game is really good. I've liked what I've seen through the first 3 games of the season, but got to win up front. And you also got to win up front on defense. We got to get after Ty Simpson. You essentially, to affect explosive plays in the passing game, you got to get the quarterback off rhythm, off time, and the best way to do that is win up front. Penetrate that offensive line, put pressure on the quarterback, force him to get out of the pocket, force him to get off his throw, and you got to get home. You got to sack him. So that second thing for Georgia is win in the trenches, win up front. Third and final thing, which I think is the most important for Georgia, is don't overthink. Relax. Go out there and just play football. At the end of the day, all you're doing is playing football. Don't worry about what logo is on the side of the helmet. Don't worry about what jersey the other team is wearing. Just do your assignment. Do what you're supposed to do. Go out there and play football. I think if Georgia does that, I think they stand a good chance of winning this game. It's definitely a mind fuck for Georgia. You're 1-9 against Alabama in the last 10 matchups. They've been your biggest issue to get through. It's been the bane of Kirby Smart's existence, I would imagine, especially to the fan base, myself. So for Georgia, it's eliminate these explosive plays, make Bama one-dimensional, win up front in the trenches on both sides of the ball, and just relax. Go out there and play football. You're not doing anything more than playing football. For my pick for this game, I got to be honest, it's very hard. I flip-flop back and forth for the past 2 weeks with this game. I think I'm just scarred as a Georgia fan. A lot of trauma. It's hard for me to pick Georgia in this game to win. Obviously, I want them to win. I'm picking Georgia to win. But, man, I'm really nervous. I am very nervous about this game. I am extremely happy that it's in Athens. It's at home. It's a night game. I think it's going to be amazing. But, man, it is very hard for me to pick this game. I think I'm going to be a homer here. You can call me a homer, but I think I'm going to be a homer, and I got to ride with the dogs. I think that the offense for Georgia grew up in the Tennessee game. I think they've shown just how good they can be. Yes, there are some questions, some red flags on this Georgia defense. But if anything, I'm trusting Kirby to get that defense ready. I would rather run with a Kirby Smart defense than anything. And I think there's just too many questions right now for Alabama. And the worst that we've seen from Georgia was nowhere near the worst that we've seen from Alabama. And the best that we've seen from Georgia, I think is better than the best that we've seen from Alabama. So that's why I'm taking Georgia. But I would not at all be shocked or surprised if Alabama does win this game. I would be sad. I'll have to get on here and eat crow. But I am taking Georgia to win this game, this home game, this Saturday in Athens. Nonetheless, I think it's going to be an amazing game. I'm excited. Let me know your thoughts and opinions in the comments below. Tell me how wrong I am. Tell me if I'm right. Tell me if I do or don't know ball. But other than that, that's all. Over and out.